What's up, guys? On this episode of Two Car Garage, it is pretty much all about our CB175 right here. Now, we're doing a lot of different things on it, so you can jump around the video to see from polishing chrome to restoring the gauge lenses to putting on the rear tire, tidying up the electrical, lots and lots of little stuff. But you're going to want to watch because the chrome, the 40 or whatever 50-year-old chrome, turned out absolutely amazing. Just wait until you see how simple it is to restore this type of chrome.
What sort of magical elixir is this that I'm pouring in? Well, how about just your standard white vinegar that you can buy for a couple bucks at the supermarket? That's right, and you want to go ahead and grab your wife's aluminum foil from the kitchen. Be sure you fold it, not scrunch it, and just get to work, right? I'm sorry, I wish there was some like magic formula, but there's not. It's just vinegar, aluminum foil, and elbow grease. Lots and lots of elbow grease. Actually, it's not a ton, right? It's not really all that hard. You don't really have to push all that much. It just takes a little bit of time. Now, 1 gallon of vinegar will pretty much do your whole motorcycle because you're just rinsing it as it gets dirty. Let's look at how this used to be when I first picked up the bike. Man, that's horrible, right? Can we rescue it? Look at how good this turned out with just some vinegar, aluminum foil, and elbow grease. Now you can see that these mufflers are all rusted out on the tips, but it doesn't matter, they'll work and the chrome gets decent. But these head pipes, the chrome actually cleaned up really nice. Check out how nice that looks. You know, the person who buys it probably won't flip up the seat to look at the top part of the rear fender, but I wanted to clean it up anyway just because I know it's there, right? Now we turn our attention to the handlebars and the levers. The levers are covered in this like plastic material. I guess it like protects the aluminum. Either way, it's all oxidized and yellow, so we have to clean that up and then polish it up nice. The wiring on the handlebars runs internally, so I didn't want to remove the bars, which made it pretty difficult and cumbersome to polish, but it worked, and you can see here the difference from one side to the other. I mean, it's just unbelievable how good this simple method works.
This is the old starter that we pulled out of the CB175. This is a replacement. A lot of these little Honda twins from back in the day are virtually the same and interchange a lot of the same parts or exchange a lot of the same parts. So this one says it's off of a CL175, which was like the semi-off-road dual sport enduro version of it. So they're the same though regardless. So let's see how the old one sounds compared to the new one. To test a starter, all you really need to do is hook up a positive to the positive post, and then it's grounded on the actual body of the starter itself. So all you need to do then is just clamp that negative anywhere on the body, and you can test it out.
Now these gauge faces are just plastic, right? Clear plastic, which from sitting out in the sun oxidizes over time. So I'm showing you here what I'm using. I started out wet sanding with 2000 grit. Then I went to a 3000. You can use sandpaper wet sanding. The only reason I used these 3M Trizact pads is because I already had them. Follow it up with this 3000. Remember to keep it wet. And then clean it off, and then we follow it all with some clear coat so it doesn't, do the same thing again. I'm just using a nice automotive clear coat here. It's nothing fancy, you don't have to go crazy. And I used about 3 or 4 light coats, followed by 1 wet coat. And here's the result. It came out beautiful. Let's turn our attention to the rear wheel. We need to do a couple things here. We need to replace the tire and then balance the tire, and we need to sand down the rear brake shoes. You'll see what I mean soon. Having the hoist on this lift makes it so much easier because you don't have to pull off the rear fender. You can just lift up the back of the bike and slide the wheel out. It's actually really nice. Now, I like to sand down these brake shoes. The reason is because from sitting for so long, they can sometimes build up a glaze, like a really smooth glaze, and then they won't grab. So just take some coarse sandpaper, sand them down, spray some brake cleaner on them, and you're good to go. Now that our tire's getting installed, we have to undertake the chore of balancing the new tire and wheel combo. Now, it's not a chore at all, right? It's actually really easy. Basically, what I'm doing here is just imagine separating the wheel into quarters, right? Like 4/4 of the pie. We need to find out where the heaviest spot on that wheel is. So all I'm doing is I'm turning it sort of a quarter at a time, letting the heavy spot fall to the bottom. Little bit, honing in until I find the exact spot that's the heaviest on the rim. And then you just add weights opposite of that. So right now the heaviest spot is on the very bottom, so I'm going to clean off the very top so that way I can stick the weights on. Easy peasy. Now I was thinking to myself, man, I can't leave you guys go with me just putting the rear wheel on. Boring, right? So instead I decided, you know what, let me do one more thing, one more sort of transformation on this bike. That way you guys can leave with a good taste in your mouth. So after I finish torquing this rear nut down, we move to the dirtiest chrome of all, this front fender. And I did half at a time. Look at how, even without the finishing touches, the two sides look. So we finish this up. Remember, just aluminum foil and vinegar, and we're done.
Man, this thing is really starting to shine. I'm actually really impressed with how good just the aluminum foil and vinegar shines up the chrome. I mean, it's pretty amazing. The inside of the fuel tank got really nice. I emptied the vinegar and I have some Pour 15 tank sealer drying in that now. I have a couple more parts coming in for the starter system, but we're getting really close. I mean, I think the next video will just pretty much be putting this thing back together. We need to put the front tire on, but of course I ripped a tube putting one on the back, so we have to get another tube now. But either way, the next video should be putting it back together and getting this thing running. As always, thanks for watching Two Car Garage, and we'll see you next time.